same day. And more or less from that point on, he does something that he regrets for the rest of his life. He's going to abandon his daughter with his sister. He's going to move out west and basically disappear for about 9 years, which he regrets the whole rest of his life because more or less he abandoned his daughter. He comes back, becomes a representative in New York, and becomes the Assistant Secretary of Navy. And of course, we all know what happens with that. He causes the bombing of Manila Bay, starting the Spanish-American War. Becomes a Rough Rider. Becomes a big war hero. And then once he's a war hero, New York basically wants him to do a whole bunch of things. Now, he's a Republican by name. Like, you get this stuff down? He's a Republican by name. But if you were to put a label on him, the only real political label you really put on the man is really American, okay? Because he goes on both sides. He's both Democratic, he's both Republican. And the Republicans hate him for it. Because they can't control him. But he's so popular with the people, he just gets elected to these positions. He's one of the people, and I know all of you have experienced at this point, he's one of those kind of people that when they walk into a room, everyone is focused on this person. Okay, just the air gets sucked out of the room and everyone's focused on this person. And it's just by what he is. He's an avid hunter. He's killed basically every known animal predator that you can think of. He's killed rhinos, lions, jaguars in the rainforest. I mean, you name it. I mean, you can see a whole bunch of fun pictures of him with like safari animals, which at that time was very legal to do. Killed some elephants, some hippopotamuses, things like that. And then, of course, he would have them stuffed and sent to his house.
You said a big house.
He did have a big house. 1900, McKinley is going up for his second term, and his former vice president was too old for the position. They were afraid he was going to die in office, which obviously you don't want your vice president to die in office. So he chooses Roosevelt. The Republicans want him to be the vice president because, let's be honest here, if you're the vice president, what is your actual day in, day out job? Anyone know? The vice president actually has one job besides waiting for the president to die. Yeah?
He's Speaker of the House of Congress.
He's the Speaker. He's the President of the Senate. Okay. So the Speaker of the House is the senior most congressman that gets appointed. The Vice President is the President of the Senate, and he's the tie-breaking vote. Yes. Where?
You know the Don chooses.
Oh, chooses.
Look at this man. He shot a Triceratops.
Of course you did.
Literally. He wrote back and carried.
Of course you did.
Quit. Are you taking her to sale?
I haven't talked to her yet. I haven't seen her. I might take her during class.
I'm asking if I can just go out in the hall or something.
Yeah.
When he becomes the Vice President of the United States in 1900, he's there for about a year and a half. And in 1902, William McKinley is shot. Roosevelt was so bored with being the Vice President, get this done, that he was contemplating going back to Harvard for his law degree. Okay? The guy was constantly moving. On average, the man's reading between 4 or 5 books a week. He liked jujitsu as his daily workout. He loved what was called log exercises, which you basically moved logs around your body from your shoulders to your hips and around your legs, which was basically the early version of bodybuilding. Love to go hiking, and that's actually why we're going to later have the National Park Service. McKinley is shot in Buffalo, New York by an anarchist. He had a gun wrapped around in a cast, and when he went to go shake the hand of the president after the speech, McKinley is shot twice in the chest, and this is really funny. The Secret Service has to go find Roosevelt. Roosevelt is in the Finger Lakes of New York on a mountain in a cabin. Okay, so they have to go and try and find him by basically talking to people who were in contact with him the previous week. They find him, they take him by train to Buffalo, New York, and when he gets to Buffalo, New York, William McKinley is actually in stable condition, and people think he's going to recover. They don't want people to panic because they don't want the vice president to be in proximity thinking, oh my gosh, you're gonna die, like Garfield, like Lincoln. And so they say, Roosevelt, go back on vacation, I think everything's okay. Next day, McKinley takes a turn for the worst and dies, and they basically have to retrack him stop him at a station by telegraph. He then goes to Buffalo, he's sworn in at the Roosevelt House now in Buffalo, New York, where he is sworn in, and he has his founding speech where he says, I'm going to give America a square deal. Now, what does it mean to be square with a person? And not square as in like, you're square, man.
Upright.
Upright, equal, okay? Well, what was your? Honest, okay? So he's going to give everyone an honest deal. This is really the person who makes the progressive movement get pushed. First thing he's going to do is he's going to break up the trusts. Get this down. He's going to enforce the Sherman Antitrust Acts, which no one has tried besides one time, and it failed utterly. So he's been the first person to actually break up the monopolies that were passed by a bill that was signed in 1890. So 14 years later, this is finally being used. He's going to break up the Northern Security Companies, and then a year and a half later, he's going to break up U.S. Steel, which is formerly Andrew Carnegie Steel. Andrew Carnegie was the master. He sold high. When all the monopolists were at their peak, so was Carnegie. And this is kind of an interesting story. Morgan wanted to buy Andrew Carnegie's Steel Corporation, so that way he could hook it up with his electricity and his railroad industries. That would be Morgan, okay? And so Morgan sent one of his guys to meet Carnegie on the golf course. And Andrew Carnegie were talking during golf, and the J.P. Morgan guy basically says, Andrew, ha ha ha, how much would you sell your company for? It's so big. And he said, oh, I don't know, $600 million, ha ha ha. The next day, a check was sent in the mail for $600 million, and Andrew Carnegie sold his company to J.P. Morgan.
It's not even that much, is it?
And now in today's money, it would be approximately $750 billion.
Oh, it's 600.
Yeah.
So like, why don't we like hear about like the Carnegie family anymore then? Like, because they're not like on any like rich charts or anything.
Andrew Carnegie's money, he donated over 60% of it back to charities when he died. So is the Carnegie family still very comfortable? Yes, they're still part of Carnegie Mellon University, still part of the Carnegie Science Center, and still handing out scholarships like it's Skittles, okay? But they're just not as wealthy because Andrew Carnegie really believed that God gave me the ability to be this rich, and so I should use it responsibly. So he's really the only tycoon you should actually even have some street respect for, because Rockefeller was literally like a hungry hippo, okay? He wanted all the marbles, okay? In his belly, okay? So Carnegie takes the $600 million, sells off his company as is. Morgan becomes the CEO of it. 6 months later, it gets busted, and he has to break it up into 40 different companies. Okay. Morgan's allowance for how much money that is, because he puts the majority of it in easy yield stocks and gold bonds. Not gold bonds, the company. Gold bonds are like for gold. He has a retirement of approximately $120,000 a day at that time. Was that?
How much does that pay? A couple million?
Probably somewhere between like 2.5 million per day. Like obviously not like spending it, right? It's not like burn the money, right? But that's how much money he could have used per day. Yeah. Which is it's just stupid, right? It's just a stupid amount of money.
Buy Bugatti.
Right, yeah. Later, John D. Rockefeller's oil company is going to be broken up by William Howard Taft in 1911. But what's important here is Roosevelt sets the precedent of breaking up these monopolies. Finally, Rockefeller will lose all of his Standard Oil in 1924, which he'll have to break it up into 84 different oil refining companies, which are basically all the oil companies that you might ever know and ever come in contact with in the United States. Later in his administration, he's going to pass the Meat Inspection and Pure Food and Drug Act. I'd like you to get the top two bullets here. This is all done, all of these were done because of Upton Sinclair's muckraking the jungle. Roosevelt read the book because it was a new book, threw up, and pushed this to get passed. He was so disgusted with the idea of meat packing plants back then. Okay? Meat packing plants and basically meat factories back then were so bad that when the Meat Inspection Act of 1906 was passed, there was a quota on how much feces could be in the meat. Okay, now there's no feces in our meat, luckily, okay? But at that time, that's how dirty these factories were. Well,
Have you seen that movie, Tree Grows in Brooklyn?
no, actually, I have no idea what that movie is.
It's like this old black and white film, and so it's this family living in Brooklyn, and then so the mom sends the daughter to go to like the butcher and get the hamburgers or whatever. She has the daughter make sure he grinds the meat up like right in front of you. That way you make sure it's not like putting a rat or something into it.
It's a very real thing back then.
Why would they do that?
What's that? Cheaper. Yeah,
It's like cutting cocaine.
sausage back then was basically anything that you could not like physically cut. So like muscle, sinew, small bones would be crushed up multiple times and then stuffed in pig intestines. That would be sausage back then.
You know, people like that.
Does anyone know what the German Weisswurst is?
Vice versa.
It means white sausage. Okay, you're gonna love this. So Weisswurst is boiled. You're not supposed to eat the skin because it is actually like really fibrous intestine. You're supposed to twist it and suck the sausage out of the casing. It looks disturbingly disgusting.
Is that like a tripe? Have you ever heard tripe?
Similar,
It's
yeah.
like an Italian dish. Oh, it's
Yeah.
so gross.
Yeah, my personal favorite one with intestines though has to be haggis.
Oh.
It is meat and stuffing baked in a sheep's stomach.
Yummy.
You know, our modern day education system is based off of meat packing.
Yeah, with the bells.
No, like we're in rows because of that's how the workers used to be, and then our like the
Yeah,
whole,
it's all very industrial, yeah.
the whole grading system, like the reason
A, B, C, D,
A
yeah.
is the best is because that's how they rank meat.
So you're a piece of meat, dude.
All in all, you're just another brick in the wall. All right. Great album. 1902, there's a Pennsylvania coal strike that becomes so catastrophic that there's a possibility that people would be without electricity and heat in the winter. So Roosevelt, recognizing the crisis, he is going to be an arbiter for the union and the owners. Okay, does anyone ever with sports know what an arbitration hearing is? What is it? Everyone hears about it. No one knows what it really is.
Isn't like your contract something with it, like basically like being done, like?
So how it goes is this. If you are not out of your rookie contract, but you want a higher salary, you can say, ownership, I want this amount of money. The ownership says, I want this amount of money. And what happens is, primarily it happens with baseball and hockey, is there will be an arbiter that comes from the league who's a third party who will basically look at the stats, look at current contracts compared to your age and what you did, and they'll come up with a salary price, and you will either win or lose the hearing. So if you win, you get your number. If you lose, you get their number. Or the arbitration basically says both of you are off. They'll make up their own number. Okay? And that's
to get this.
yeah, same thing here. So basically, the union said we want this price. The owner said this price. Roosevelt basically haggles out a deal that makes both the owners and the unions happy. Roosevelt specifically was helping out labor unions because he wanted to help out the average person. This is my favorite line from him. He said, "This is the only time I've ever wanted to throw a man out of a window." He was really mad at the coal miner owners. Yeah, the only time I've ever wanted to throw a man out of a window. His autobiography is hilarious. Oh my god, he's delightful. Just delightful. Thing is, though, if you've ever actually heard him speak, you're like, wow, where does this English guy come from? It's really weird. He's got kind of a higher pitched voice. kind of an English town. It's really bizarre. It's that Massachusetts thing. Parking the cat, having the odd kind of thing. You know?
Wicked.
Wicked awesome. Yes. Yeah. Who's gonna win this year in baseball? Boston. Right? Yeah.
They like that.
Naples. Yes.
Took the Pabst cheese last night, and it's whatever.
Next thing he does, and this is probably one of his things we still say, is he is the founder of the National Park Service. Like if you get the U.S. Forestry Service down. He's the founder of the National Park Service. 1905, he's going to protect the forest because, I mean, honestly, to be completely frank here, he is very for nature. When he was hiking, traveling out west, he saw Yosemite, he saw the Grand Canyon, he saw Old Faithful, and as president, he wanted to protect those for Americans forever. He felt them to be national treasures.
Which ones did he say?
And he wants to preserve those. Just the top one, U.S. Forestry Service. Throughout the end of his presidency, he's going to protect 150 million acres of land of both forests and later parks, both originally state, now federal. And 1903, he's going to found Yosemite National Park, Yellowstone National Park, basically parts of Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming, all kind of conglomerated together. It was going to be bought out by private people, but in 1904 he gets money to save it, and so it becomes federal property. Let me make sure I'm saying this right. 1916, the National Park Service as we know it becomes an entity. So last year was actually their 100th anniversary. The National Park Service, basically all the federal parks, including the military parks, now in existence. Yes.
So you said that someone tried to buy a park. Could like someone buy?
We didn't buy a park. Basically what they were doing is they were buying up land that we now know as Yosemite National Park.
But could like,
Yes.
let's say like someone like really rich like wanted to buy a national park, would they be able to?
Currently, because it's protected federal environment land, no. But if we ever like deregulated that and basically said people could buy it, yes, people would be able to buy it. There is a ton of land in Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado that is just federal land that is really just has nothing to do with anything, but we still control it because we took it all away from Native Americans. Okay, and we just haven't let go of it. Okay. As a matter of fact, if you remember the Bundy hold off in the federal lands, the like crazy group of guys who held up that one federal land reserve for like a month and a half, and then was arrested last year. Okay, so more or less, this Bundy family who was told they were farmers, they were told by the federal government that they could buy up this land, and the federal government said no. So they decided to stay at the land until the federal government would give it up. Were then all violently arrested and are now currently in federal jail for it. So there's still tons of federal land.
Yeah.
So something that you have to get down, and I just think is a funny story. Roosevelt is the reason why we have a thing called teddy bear. 1902, there's a border dispute between basically the south, north-south border between Louisiana and Mississippi. And Roosevelt gets bored with this and goes out on a bear hunt. He finds a dead mother bear with a cold shivering baby bear next to it, feels bad for the baby bear, and decides, he tells someone within the group to give it a mercy kill. He stops them, and the bear lives in the White House the rest of his term as president. So for 6 years, there was a bear in the fence of the White House. Yes.
Yeah, didn't he ride like his horses inside the house? Like his kids would ride their horses?
Jackson did that. I don't know if Roosevelt did it. I
Or was
can't
that-
say
was
no.
that
When
FDR?
Roosevelt did that, I think it's hilarious. He had an outdoor elevator for his kids. It was a bucket. And they would sit in the bucket from the ground floor, and he would pull it up by a pulley system, and they'd go up to the Oval Office windows. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. And so this is the original teddy bear from 1904 at the New York gift shop. This is the picture from him saving the bear.
Picture of it happen.
Yeah. And by the way, this is not Smokey the Bear. Smokey the Bear was nearly burned to death in a 1954 forest fire. The National Park Service saves the bear, and it becomes a mascot known as Smokey. Okay, and that's where we get that bear who wants to stop you from, you know, lighting a doobie and then lighting a whole forest on fire, okay? That's basically what the whole purpose was. It was an anti-marijuana campaign, honestly. And so, this is the original teddy bear from 1904. At auction, that was the photograph of it, it went for $400,000. The original teddy bear. Yes.
If you look at bears living at the White House, it says Thomas Jefferson used to keep 2 grizzly bears at all times walking around the White House.
Yeah, Jefferson had one, I think, Woodrow Wilson had goats, that we didn't have to mow the lawn.
Who's the fact?
Taft.
Could you still do that?
What's that?
Yeah, like,
Well, you can't now because of all the federal regulations. And there's also rules that like you can no longer like, you know, have an alligator in your bathtub or stuff like that.
okay, I have a funny tiger.
That's a very valid one, yes.
Why used to worry about the spiders now?
You couldn't have, so President Trump would have a bear in the White House.
President Trump can no longer have a bear.
That's no fun.
I know.
Oh, no, that's
Trust me, I'm as frustrated as you are.
Your over
Alright, so, gotta pick things back up. So, Roosevelt goes for his 2 terms, and he decides that because of Washington's 2-term precedent, he will not run for a 3rd term. Okay? Yeah, he's a big boy. So, Roosevelt's going to you don't have to get this down. Roosevelt's going to handpick Taft, and so here is Big Boy Taft. Woo! Okay? You don't have to get this down either.
That land is large.
So, he was a 1-term president. Yes, he was stuck in the bathtub twice, to the point where they actually had to get a larger tub for the White House, which we now call jacuzzi tubs.
Dude, I never lived in that same tub at all.
Well, you had a question?
That was the
That was the question, yes. He did get stuck in the tub. He was a stress eater, and he gained 80 pounds within the 4 years. That's
That's nothing, man.
What's really interesting about Taft, and this is really weird, we always think about presidents who basically strive their entire lives to become president. He didn't want to be president. He wanted to be a Supreme Court judge. And when he gets offered the Supreme Court judge, he actually becomes the only president in our world, country's history that will become a Supreme Court judge after president. He'll become a Supreme Court judge for about 10 years before obviously he dies of diabetes. Okay? Yes.
How much skinnier is he before you get
He went from 260 to 340.
That's from diabetes. You have to be so bad.
Yeah.
He was 240 pounds.
Let me get this down. So, Taft would be the president, if this was Winnie the Pooh and Theodore Roosevelt was Tigger, Taft would be Eeyore, okay? Just bad things happened to him. His wife, who supported him his entire life politically, the second day he's president, after the inauguration, she had a terrible stroke, and she cannot use the entire left side of her body for the rest of her life.
You stay with it?
He does. He stays with her.
Wicked guy.
He's going to pass a tariff, which is basically a modern tariff policy. He's going to be the one who's going to fund the Panama Canal. There's a Mexican border war that breaks out that basically makes him look bad. But he's known for terrible disasters. One of them being is the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire, which women who were sewing in a shirt building, the building was 12 stories high. The bosses, when they went out to lunch, would chain the doors up so people couldn't leave early. A fire starts in the 5th floor. The entire building burns to the ground. 438 women die in a fire, including the majority of them jumping out of the building because, again, they cannot escape. Because both the back escape and then also the staircases and the elevators were chained together. Okay. After this is when we have a thing called fire extinguishers. Problem with fire extinguishers back then, though, was that fire extinguishers were glass grenades that you threw at the fire, and the chemical would suck the air out of the room. So good news, fire's gone. Bad news, everyone's dead in the room. What's that? Well, you actually have to do this. You have to close the windows, throw the grenade, hold your breath, wait for the fire to subside, then you go open the window. Yeah.
And if you open it, it'll look
With backdraft, yeah. Yeah. Yes, and then finally, this is really sad. So, and I'm kind of spoiler alerting here. He loses his re-election attempt, and at the end of his presidency, his Secretary of State says, "President, I'd really like to take my wife on vacation before we start our life anew." And he says, "Sure, go ahead. The ship he's on, the Titanic." So he sent his Secretary of State to death. Yes. So, wife gets a stroke, worst fire in American history, and he kills the Secretary of State with the Titanic. Yeah.
Is that attempted murder?
Was that? No, I mean, obviously, he's just trying to be a nice guy. Like, this guy literally is the presidential killer. Okay? I really feel bad for this guy. Real good here? Almost?
Yeah.
Let me know.
Was it, did they give you Spanish and you had to write it in English? No, I mean for the vocab.
Now, this really is kind of the kill shot
Okay,
for
did they give you
Taft.
the Spanish? And then you.
I'd like to get the bottom bullet right there. Come on.
Which one are we getting on?
Just the bottom bullet.
That's the easiest part.
1912, Taft runs for re-election. His best friend at the time, Theodore Roosevelt, thinks he did a bad job, so he's going to run against him. So this is just before the Titanic thing. So yeah. So his best friend is now going to run against him as a third-party candidate. There are four major candidates during this election. There is Taft, a Harvard professor who was a one-term senator, similar to Obama, was Woodrow Wilson. You have Eugene Debs, the socialist candidate, on his fourth term attempt. And then you've got Theodore Roosevelt, who's going to run as a third-party candidate known as the Bull Moose Party. Socialist. You might be wondering, where the heck did Bull Moose come from? You're like, what, BM Bowel Movement? No. But Bull Moose, okay?
The bullworm.
Bull. Yeah, even though that's an animal, but I mean,
Alaskan bull.
oh, yes. That's such a good one. So, oh, really? So, and again, only Roosevelt would do this. Roosevelt almost dies of malaria in the Amazon rainforest. Survives, including the point where he was so sick on the boat, and the boat was starting to sink because there was a leak. He told his son to throw him overboard to save everyone else. And they're like, he's like, "No, Dad, I'm not throwing you off the boat." He's like, "But that's how heroes go." And he's like, "No, Dad, I'm not throwing you off the boat." So he recovers from malaria. This is like only Roosevelt would do this. Recovers from malaria, realizes what's going on politically, and basically says, "I'm going to try to fix the country." Any luck? No. Okay. So New York City. Roosevelt goes to claim that he's going to be the next president of the United States, and he walks on stage with a 60-page speech, folded twice in his coat pocket, his steel glasses case. Someone comes up to him with a .38 revolver and shoots him in the chest. He tackles the guy, punches him, okay, and the police arrest him. He's bleeding. He's shot in the lung.
Why does nothing like this ever happen anymore?
The speech is bloody. The glasses case is pierced through. He gets on stage and speaks for 90 minutes. Okay? He does the entire speech by memory. We don't know if it's true or not. And his last statement is, he leans on the podium, probably from blood loss, and says, "No one kills a bull moose." And that's why we have the Bull Moose Party.
That's awesome.
He then gets off stage, passes out from blood loss, and takes about 8 weeks to recover, from his wound. He gets clipped in the lung.
I'm sure the video is on it.
Oh, it was fantastic. In
No, you got it.
the 1912 election, this is how, poor Taft. Taft wins Vermont and Utah only, okay?
Wow.
Roosevelt, who is the only third-party candidate to ever get 27% of the popular vote, that's the most popular vote by far of a third-party candidate. He only gets 88 electoral votes, but because Taft and Roosevelt were Republicans, split the ticket, Wilson wins, okay? Woodrow Wilson is the first Southern Democrat voted in as president since James K. Polk. It's been like 90 years, okay?
Why?
Now, Wilson, again, he was a sociology professor at Harvard, great speaker, people liked him, he was a one-term senator. During his presidency,
Do we need this?
yeah. During his presidency, he passes all of the, what we call the progressive era amendments. But the majority of these were already in progress. So like for instance, Taft already proposed the 16th Amendment. Senators specifically supported the 17th Amendment. Wilson, who was a firm drinker, opposed prohibition, but it got passed anyways. And then finally the 19th Amendment, he actually personally supported it, so that was really the only one that he even supported, okay? Wilson is a very, very weird case. If you talk to historians, which I'm assuming most of you don't, okay? If you talk to historians or you read anything on history, you'll get two perceptions of Wilson. People either say he's one of the great Democratic presidents of our time, of the 20th century, or he's an awful president. Okay? Now, if you look at just what he does, he looks like a fantastic president. Okay? Even what he does with trade, he looks like a fantastic president. Okay? There is one specific thing that he does really bad. He segregates everything. He's the one that actually enforces segregation. He enforces Plessy versus Ferguson. He segregates northern cities. He segregates the Navy, which was desegregated in the 1860s. He bars African American officers from having their positions and actually demotes them back to sergeant.
No, it doesn't.
What's that?
Why is
So bad.
Why is there a city school called Woodrow Wilson?
What's that?
A city school called Woodrow Wilson.
If you guys remember.
Isn't the irony fantastic? By the way, he's also the first president and only president to ever have a personal showing of Birth of a Nation, which is the Ku Klux Klan movie. Oh yeah.
Wait,
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember Ned's Declassified?
James K. Polk.
He makes the country so segregated that W.E.B. Du Bois leaves the country for 10 years. Because he's so disgusted with First Voice.
Oh, the first voice.
Yeah.
He's the one like was in the wheelchair and like,
That was Roosevelt.
there's like.
Yeah, I'd like to get the FTC and the Workmen's Compensation Act. So, Clayton Antitrust Act basically is an add-on of the Sherman Antitrust Act, FTC, and then the Workmen's Compensation Act. He's going to create the Federal Trade Commission to basically watch out for state monopolies. He's also made the president who is going to pass the Workmen's Compensation Act, giving people disability insurance in case if they ever have an injury. Which remember, prior to that, if you had your right arm cut off in an accident, you better learn how to go to work with a left arm and know how to write left-handed, okay? So, wah, wah. Okay? Wilson was a great trust buster. The racial issues are really what really burns Wilson's legacy.
Which one is that?
The FTC and the Workmen's Compensation Act. it's very interesting how all this transpired. It really is. It's bizarre. Because most people see the good part of Wilson and they go, wow, what a great president. And then you find out what he's doing with segregation and people are like, wow, what an awful human being, okay? And so really what it comes down to is, was Wilson really a progressive president? No. Right? It's like he passes these great amendments, but for civil rights, he's atrocious. All good?
No.
Oh, yes.
So he was the president during World War I?
He is the president during World War I. So, you have to remember this. World War I starts in 1914, right? We don't declare war on Germany until April 2nd, 1917, okay? And
Yes.
we're only in honest combat in Europe for 6 months. So what's interesting is this, we make the final push to actually defeat Germany, kind of, okay? We're basically, it's kind of like getting to seeing a giant fist fight, and you notice your cousin's in it, and you're like, okay, let's finish this, right? That's kind of what we did, okay? And then when we got to the negotiating table, we're kind of like, well, we did kind of help you guys out, and more or less the most of the Europeans are like, yeah, but you didn't lose 10 million people. And we're kind of like, yeah, that's true. He actually proposes a world peace agreement to make sure this never happens again. And basically, Rick's like, yeah, that's cute. That's good, right? This is yeah. Then Wilson's involved with is